Hi guys, welcome to my end of year review where I look back on 2016 from a gaming perspective and I give you my game of the year. I'm going to be doing game of the year, I'm going to be doing my indie game of the year, I'm going to do strategy game of the year, worst indie game of the year and worst game of the year. So they are what's going to be decided over the next however long it takes. 2016 started out probably the worst of any year that I can remember. In fact, once we'd hit summertime, I was looking and thinking, my goodness, there has not been a single really good game released at all this year. And I was looking ahead at what was coming and thinking, there's nothing really going to be coming. I'd written off Doom before it had been released. Dishonored 2, I'd written off. Overwatch, I totally had written off. Titanfall 2, definitely written off. Battlefield, totally written off. And I was thinking, where's the games going to come from? Where's the good games? Mafia, one of the games I loved, but I just knew that was going to be a big pile of shit as well, because we're living in this world now where developers are just copying and pasting from other people's games. That's all they do. It's like, X-ray vision, tick, third person, tick, dumbed down combat, tick, controller optimized, tick. And for us PC gamers who use proper controls like a mouse and keyboard, we're screwed because we don't get any real skill-based games anymore. They're all dumbed down shit. That's what PC gaming is all about. It's not about using a fucking controller. They're for consoles. The whole point of gaming with a PC is so you can go to the next level with a mouse and keyboard. A mouse and keyboard gives you so much more versatility. Yes, it's harder than a controller. I get that. It is harder, but once you've perfected it, it is so much better. You can get so much more immersion out of a game, because with a controller it does everything for you because it has to, because it's so fucking clunky and stiff and not very versatile. That's why you have cover shooters. Press button to roll in some random direction. Press a button and you'll run over there and hide behind that barricade because you're too fucking shit to be able to do it with a mouse and keyboard where you would run over and crouch. It's all just kind of done for you. Hey, there's an enemy coming to your right, but don't worry, I know it's hard to turn accurately, so hey, we'll do it for you. There you go, like fucking Batman in Witcher, turns it round and faces the fucking enemy for you because you're too fucking shit to program a controller properly. Mouse and keyboard give you everything. If you want to crouch behind somewhere, you have to press the key to crouch. If you want to stand up, you press a key to stand up. If you want to lie down, you press another key to lie down. That's what gaming's always been about. It's been about you doing it, not letting the game do it for you. What's the point if the game does it for you? Where's the fun in that? You've got to learn to do it yourself, and that's what brings the immersion. That's what brings the sense of achievement when you've done something. You want to peek around a corner, bind a key to peep around. Let's not just have it done it automatically, with a little cutscene. Hey, look, there's somebody coming. Or third person. Hey, I don't even need to peep around the fucking corner. The camera does that. I'll stand here out of sight while I see everything. Fucking shite, guys. What a wank. Sick of it. Really am. Where's the challenge? There is no challenge now in games. It's all just copy and pasted, see through fucking walls, round corners, automatically hide behind a barricade. It's all wank. So I'm pleased to say none of my games of the year ever have third person with a gun. Third person's fine in certain games, not when you've got a fucking gun and you're running around shooting people. It's just a big fucking cheat. So let's get on with it, shall we? First of all, let's go to the indie game of the year. Now, guys, there has hardly been any good indie games this year. And do you know why? It's because of Steam. Because Steam refuse to do any form of quality control. And so we have had thousands and thousands of games released that are just absolute wank. I've been looking through my thumbed up games and looking for a really good indie game, and I've only found one. There's been no competition for this game. There's only been one really good indie game released this year, in my opinion, and it is my game of the year for the indie department, and that is, without a shadow of a doubt, RimWorld. Rimming is brilliant, guys. You should really try it. It's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and this game is as good as Rimming. I'll tell you what. Let's have a look. This is a clip from my RimWorld WoW. And if you want something to get your teeth into, and that's the thing with this, it's a game you can really get your teeth into. It's not a shallow game at all. And you know how I always go on about games that are fucking shallow and we've seen it all before. And this is the opposite. This is why I like PC games. This is the kind of game that is why I love PC games. Because they are deep, they are meaningful, they are enjoyable, they are something that you can just bang out the hours with. It's just, rimming has never been so much fun, guys. I mean, it just hasn't. So there you go, guys. This is RimWorld. And it is definitely worth buying. So there you go. Congratulations to RimWorld. And as it happens, RimWorld is the game that I will be giving away to one of my lucky donators this month. So there you go. I think this game's £23 on Steam, but I think it's in the sale at the minute. And if you're into this kind of strategy game, and the storyteller makes this game so good, just these events that just happen, and it's a really deep, immersive, fun strategy game, and I highly recommend it. So as we've moved from the indie game of the year, it's only fit that we should do the worst indie game of the year. Now, wow, so many guys, so many bad indie games this year, but it's going to, there was really only one. There was really, guys, I know what's coming. There was really only one game this year that was just so fucking awful, so much of a con, so much of a that'll do, so much of a give us your money for all, so much of a we aren't developers but there's a game, hey look, buy it please, so much of a this is the biggest pile of banter piss that you've ever, so much of a this is just a complete and utter waste of your gaming time, so much of a it isn't even programmed properly, so much of an asset flip, so much of the gameplay is just utterly broken, so much that the sound effects are just wank, that the game map is just copy and pasted fucking blocks, so much that the aliens can't even, guys, they can't even shoot you if you crouch, guys. Yes, there is only one game that fits this bill, and that is Galactic fucking Hitman. And guess who made that game, guys? Guess who made that game? The same fucking people that made the worst game of the year last year. Yeah, last year I think it was the Slaughtering Grounds. Yes, we're talking about them inept cunts, Digital fucking Homicide, who have no business to be in the fucking gaming industry. They just turf out tripe after tripe. They're the ones that tried to sue Jim Sterling for £10 million or dollars because he said something nasty about one of their inept piles of shit. Honestly, fuck off. Get away from the fucking gaming industry because you're just shit. Now be careful, Rabbit. That is a very dangerous thing. You've never seen fire before, have you? No. Whatever you do, don't touch it because it burns. Don't fucking touch it, you stupid prick. My finger's in there. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to move it out the way. Well, you can have the bell, not the candle. That's right. You play with the bell. Whenever I say Digital Homicide, that's right. You do that, right? Okay. Stop. In a nutshell, you're given all the weapons from the get-go. There's only 4 different types of rooms in this. There's the square rooms, which lead to the long rooms. Each long room has, I think, 9 pieces of shit in it that fire weapons at you. They just look like shit. They just look like shit, guys. They just look like pieces of fucking shit standing there firing their weapons. Now, their weapons will only fire at chest height. Chest height, guys. So if you crouch, if you crouch, guys, if you crouch, guys, they can't hit you. Yeah, they can't hit you. So you just walk through the whole game crouched, and you beat the game. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. The game. This is somebody. They're not fucking programmers, in my opinion. They just get Unity get the assets, throw them down, square there, rectangle there, 6 guys, a box, a barrel, £1.59, please, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you, 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 thank you. And now guys, the best strategy game of the year. Now, there have been a lot of strategy games released this year. It's been a great year for strategy gaming. One of my favourite was Ultimate General's Civil War. I was actually playing it last night. Terrific game, really good game. That's an indie game about the American Civil War, and it's really, really good fun. Not as good as Sid Meier's Gettysburg, it has to be said. No one has been able to top that yet as far as this genre of game goes, but I'm sure they will. But that isn't my strategy game of the year, and neither is Stellaris. It is a great 4X space strategy game made by one of my favourite developers who are really good at strategy games, but it isn't going to be Stellaris. It was a bit too much like Sins of a Solar Empire for me, which is one of my favourite games of all time. That is a terrific game, and so is Stellaris. It's well worth buying, and I have a full review on my channel. Another game that came into the contention was Total War Warhammer, which I loved. It's slightly dumbed down to most Total War games, but it is still a brilliant game. The problem was it looks as if the game was kind of cut up and sold off as bits. When you're playing through the game, you have to unlock certain parts of the campaign by buying the DLC for it. There was also a day one DLC with the Chaos faction in it, which kind of should have been in the game. I just don't like this whole practice with paying full price for half a game, and that's what this game looked like. But it is still a fantastic game, and it is still worth buying. I probably would have got Game of the Year, to be honest, if it didn't have the DLCs going on. But I'm giving my strategy game of the year to Hearts of Iron 4. It is extremely complex and deep, but it is very rewarding. It's a brilliant game, a World War II strategy game, and it is made by the same company that did Stellaris, Paradox. So here's a clip from Hearts of Iron 4. Listen to me when I tell you this. 3 days to learn the basics. I am nowhere near good enough to probably win the war with this game. I'm tinkering with it at the minute, but I'm getting on in life. I can't absorb as well as I could. I could digest this when I was in my 20s or my teens easily. I could just, suck this dry, this game. I'd just absorb everything first time and just play it. When you get on in life and you're watching a tutorial, it's like you sit there and it goes something like this. You're listening to him and he's saying, then you get your general and you have to look at his suborders of what he can do, and you have to assign the different divisions to that. And you're like, oh yeah, okay. You press this button here, and what you can see is, if you look down at all that text, these are the tooltips that tell you what that man can do and what he will be able to offer for this particular division. You can see the modifier is plus 20% for digging in. And I'm like, oh yeah. Then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, breasts. Ah, breasts. Pokey nipples. And you think, hang on, what did you just say there, mate? Breasts got into me head. And you just lose it. You just can't, what the, rewind. And you're listening to him again, and the division commander will give a bonus modifier to this particular group because if you can see he's on the mountain range, and the mountain range modifier for this particular boobs. Oh, breasts in your face, wobble, wibble. And it just, you can't take it in. And so you rewind it again. And that's why at my age it takes so long to learn these games, because of breasts, basically. Now guys, it's the biggie. It's the game of the year. What was my game of the year? Well, up until probably around about August time, I was getting worried that there was no games going to get game of the year. But we did have some good releases. First of all, let's talk about Doom. Now, Doom was a weirdo game, Doom. When I first played Doom, I fucking hated it. Talk about dumbed down wank. This had ammo coming out your ass every time you used the chainsaw. Dumbed down enemies. Pointless. Just pointless. It was just pointless. It was nowhere near as good as the original Doom. Doom 3. I call that the original Doom, even though the first, because you can't really mention the first Doom. I mean, I got that as shareware on my 386, and you know, it had never been done before other than Wolfenstein 3D, so you can't really compare that. Obviously, that blew everybody away because we'd never done it before. It was the first game ever that allowed you to shoot up, even though your gun never actually moved. You could shoot targets on balconies and stuff. So Doom was just groundbreaking, but Doom 3 is what I like to compare this to, because you know, Doom 3 was set when we had the technology to make very, very good games, and Doom 3 was a very good game until they ruined it with the new version of it. But the original version of Doom 3, you either had to have a flashlight or a gun in your hand. You couldn't do both, which made it so fucking terrifying. And the story was good. The way you were given your weapons was good. The whole way the game transpired was good. It was a phenomenally good game, Doom 3. If you ever played the original version of it, the director's cut, if you like. Obviously, when it went to console, everybody cried, and they eventually give you unlimited ammo pretty much and a torch on every weapon, and dumbed it down. Before that, when it was just for the PCers, it was great, and I kind of wanted that in Doom, and I never got it. And I was so angry and pissed off, and I actually was going to thumb it down until I played it longer. And then I realised it was fun, and I started enjoying it, and I accepted it for what it was, a dumbed down pile of shit with no real direction, ammo coming out your ass, and you know, it just made you want to do stupid things like rocket jump towards an enemy and then rocket jump off his face, which usually ended up in you killing yourself with splash damage, but it was fun doing it, and I enjoyed it, and I thumbed it up because it was just a bit of fun. And that's what games are about, a bit of fun. So that, you know, was one of the better games of the year, but it isn't my game of the year. There's no way I'm giving a game like that game of the year. You need more than that to get game of the year. So then you kind of look at, right, well, let's look at Titanfall 2 then. Titanfall 2 had a phenomenally good campaign, and it was very well optimized. That game ran so well. Let down horribly by the multiplayer, as was Doom let down by horrible multiplayer. But Titanfall 2's with the X-ray vision, oh man, I was so disappointed. It had everything, that game. It had a phenomenal campaign and really good fun multiplayer, but ruined by wall hacks. Let's call it what it is, wall hacks. Wall hacks are us. So big shame for that. So Battlefield, what's Battlefield? Battlefield 1 impressed me. It did. It was better than Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and I was quite impressed with Battlefield. Definitely a contender. Had a fantastic campaign, short but really fun campaign, which told the story of World War I from a completely different standpoint, which I thought was quite nice, the way they'd done that, and they brought home the brutality of it very, very well. The only problem with the multiplayer in Battlefield was it suffered from the same thing in Star Wars Battlefront. It was just a big mess. It lacked that cohesion, it lacked that strategic thinking through of the map design, and so Battlefield will not get my game of the year either. So we're looking at Overwatch, aren't we? We're looking at Overwatch. It's got to be Overwatch then, doesn't it? Overwatch, a phenomenally good game. Thoroughly enjoyed Overwatch, even though it does have one character that can give X-ray vision for a few seconds to the team, which is not necessary. I don't like it at all, but when you're playing Overwatch, you don't get that in a lot of the games. The problem with Overwatch is, for me, there are too many perks, too many characters with different perks that are just dumbed down. I've already mentioned X-ray vision. Then you've got one of my favourite characters, I can't even remember what he's called now, but he has an ability where when you've charged it up, he will just shoot, auto-target everybody like an aimbot. He just becomes an aimbot and shoots everybody in the face in like a circle, which is a bit, you know, it's a good shooter. It's great fun, and it is really, really worth buying. Definitely worth a buy, but it is not my game of the year. It's runner-up to game of the year. Overwatch, terrific game, but, and this is going to get really controversial. I know there's going to be hell on when I name my game of the year. Since when have I not been controversial? But I've got to give it to Dishonored 2. And the reason I'm going to give it the Dishonored 2, there's a few reasons. First and foremost, I've never had any issues with it. I've never had these crashes that people are talking about. I've never had huge frame drops, and I'm running 60-70 frames a second, no problem at all on ultra settings. Never crashed once, that game for me. And I've done a playthrough on my other channel. You can see all the episodes, hours and hours and hours of them. No glitches, no crashes, no bugs. It's just, it works. It works for me. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't glitches, crashes and bugs. Clearly, there is optimizational problems with this game on certain machines. But I can only review what's in front of me. And, you know, what was put in front of me was an amazing, immersive game. The reason I've given it Game of the Year is because it pretty much gave me my best gaming experience this year, and that was the time travel aspect. It was a mission where you visited this big old creepy mansion that in the present time, as you were walking around, was all deserted and decrepit, except for some monsters and shit that was lurking the dark, ruined hallways. But I was given a timepiece that would allow me to travel back in time to when the mansion was at its glory, that when it was inhabited by this guy who I had to seek out, and it was full of guards and servants and partying and all this, and I could travel between the two time periods at the press of a button. But to make it even better than that, I could see into each time period. If I was in the present, I could see into the past. If I was in the past, I could see in the present, with this little watch thing that showed these little like cracked panes, and you could be in a huge fight, teleport out into the past and look through the window into the future where you've just come from and see all the guards running around looking for you. You could then teleport back when you sneak up behind them and take them out. It was absolutely amazing. I've never ever been able to do anything like that in a game before, and it blew me away. It absolutely, I played that level loads of times because I just love it. It is totally innovative, totally phenomenal. It is an amazing gaming experience, that. And the whole game, I like the whole combat. I like the way that you can kill people in many different ways, and the whole open world, the way you level your character up, the abilities are great. Yes, it does have an ability for X-ray vision, but I didn't take it, so I wouldn't know what it's like. I took these other abilities that turned me into this monstrous fiend that stealths around and sneaks around. There's force powers, you know. It's just a fun game. It's everything that a game should be. It should make you feel fun, and you know, it's one of these games that you can't just play it for 10-15 minutes. Once you start playing it, the hours just fly by, and no other game this year has done that for me. So, you know, yes, it's badly optimized, yes, it has bugs, but man, this is one of the best games I've ever played, and I highly recommend that you get this game. And you know, if it doesn't work, refund it, but if it works, you are in for an amazing experience. It's absolutely phenomenal. It is better than the first Dishonored, and that was great. Now, worst game of the year. Have you got a spare half hour? Bloody hell. Now, to get really worst overall game of the year, you have got to be pretty much expensive. It has to be an expensive game, and it has to absolutely suck so badly. It has to be a disgrace. It has to be rife. It has to make you want to vomit in your grandma's face. It just has to be really, really bad. We might as well cut to it. We all know what the worst game of 2016 was, without a shadow of a doubt. There is only one game. No Man's Sky. It has got to be No Man's Sky. What the actual f***? And if you watch one of my streams from, I think it was Dreadnought stream, I can't remember, it might not be the Dreadnought stream, but there was a stream I did, and it was about 6 months before No Man's Sky launched, and there was people talking about it in the stream, and one of them said, "Mac, what do you think of No Man's Sky?" And I said, I have a horrible feeling that that is going to be the worst game ever, that it is just going to be a giant cash grab full of bullshit. And people said, no, it's going to be amazing. Have you seen it? Have you seen what you can do? And I said, no, it's not going to be amazing. I have seen what they are saying and I don't buy into it at all. And what put me off was the fact that it was what looked like coming from an indie developer, but it was on pre-order and it was maximum price. And when I looked at what they were saying you could do, it just didn't sit right with us. It just didn't sit right with us. And I called that. I called that a long time before. I just knew it. I don't know why. I just fucking knew it. It was the same thing I got with Star Citizen. It's just, I just kind of... And when it dropped and when I started to play it, I was just like, what the fuck? Absolute tripe. Absolute pointless fucking tripe, guys. I wouldn't even know where to start now. I mean, I had to do the review in 2 parts. There was so many bad things wrong with that game that it was just grinding for nothing. Mining and grinding and 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 mining and grinding, mining and grinding and mining and grinding and mining and mining and mining and grinding and grinding and mining and mining and grinding and mining. It was the most pointless game I've ever played in my life. Absolute tripe. Absolute tripe. Have you played Astroneer? Astroneer just came out. It's kind of like a third-person No Man's Sky, and it's an indie game, and it's 1,000 times better. But I'll tell you what's better than all of them put together: Imperial Galactic Survival, I think it's called. It's a little indie game by a dead little team, and I first covered it last year, I think it was, and that is shaping up to be a phenomenal game. It's a little survival game set on, it's very much similar to No Man's Sky, but it was going long before No Man's Sky, and it is actually 10 times better than No Man's Sky, and I've got my eye on that. I'm going to revisit that probably in January. 2016, what a joke it's been. And I know a lot of you won't agree with my game of the year, and a lot of you will say it should be Overwatch, but you know, it's just what I needed. A good single player game. I really did need a good single player game that got me immersed, and I was sick of X-ray vision in multiplayer games. And it's not to say Overwatch is a bad game, it's not. It's not to say Doom is a bad game, it's not. It's not to say Titanfall 2 or Battlefield 1 are bad games. They're not bad games. They just didn't get me as much as Dishonored 2 did. So 2016 started off horrific, had a bad middle bit, but had a good ending to it. And I hope 2017 continues on where 2016 left off, and games just get bigger and better and more immersive, and that the fanboys just go f*** themselves and stop blowing sunshine up developers' arses, and that other YouTubers stop just f***ing thumbing up a game because they were giving it off the developers, and grow some f***ing balls and start saying, hey, you know what, this is not acceptable, it's bullshit. Because if they did start doing that, we would see a lot better games released, because developers wouldn't dare deliver the shit that they are currently serving us. So lots more bell ringing in 2017. I hope you have a really good time over New Year. Don't overindulge yourself. Stay safe, and I'll see you in 2017.